There we go. All right. So, Game Boy, man. It came out. I think it was in like '89. It might have been
I want to
90.
say 89.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
You
Yeah,
remember?
it's I think like September-ish, 89 over here.
You remember the price?
$99, wasn't it?
I thought it was
Or
80
89
bucks.
99.
I think it was
I think
80
it was
bucks.
89.99.
89.99. Am I
I
wrong?
about guarantee you it was like $90.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't 100 because the Nintendo was 100. Well, after
Yeah, I don't
Nintendo been
remember.
out for a little bit, I think it was like 80 though. Of course, the first thing you think of is it came with Tetris, and
It
you're
was
just like,
89.99. It was $90.
okay, so it's
I remember. I remember the first time I saw one in stores because I didn't know what the fuck it was. Because I was like, what the fuck? Like I thought it was like a game because like that's back when the games would be in a cabinet and shit.
Yeah.
So you couldn't pull out the game and look at the back
Yeah.
of it. You would have to actually just look at it. This is before the little side moving things. And I remember like it was in there, and I'm like, oh, it's got little bitty games, but it had that robotic hand on the box. But it was like $90, and I think it had like what 7 or 8 launch titles with it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think the only one really of note was Super Mario Land.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was like it came with Tetris, and then it had that, and then I remember I think Mario Tennis I think was one. I think that sounds
Was that
familiar.
the first Mario Tennis, or was that already on NES?
I think it was just tennis. I don't
It
think
was just
Mario
tennis. It was basically
Mario
NES
referee?
tennis.
Was he the referee?
I don't know if he was the player or referee.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yeah. So the first Mario Tennis I remember was actually on the damn Virtual Boy. But I didn't
yeah.
actually go out and play, But that was like the big title for Virtual Boy was Mario Tennis. But Mario Land was $20. Remember that? It was cheaper than the other ones. But it really, you're thinking is like, why do I have to get this Tetris game? Why didn't it just come with Mario Land? But then you play the fucking Tetris.
And then you realize it was meant to sell consoles.
Oh, absolutely.
it was devastating.
I want to say I can't remember if both my sister and I got one for Christmas that year, or it was just me. I think we both did.
Did you get the system
And,
link?
yeah, we would system link Tetris, and then of course my sister would get pissed off because I beat her, and then I'd play. I'd play my mom a little bit. Most of the time, like I would play against mom on Dr. Mario on NES, and that's how I got so good. And
She
quite the
beast you.
full view was from that, and then like we would go home for Christmas, or no, 89. Where were we at in 89? I think we were still in Arkansas then, but regardless, we go visit the extended family, and my aunt, she would get one too, and we would sit there
Oh yeah, three of them things
on the
going.
couch
3 or
for
4.
hours
Oh,
battling in Tetris.
that's good
And
times.
yeah.
Like,
And,
I mean, people that normally wouldn't even freaking bother with a Nintendo bought Game Boy for Tetris.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I remember my sister bought one, and it was just like you'd be like, really? It's like you wouldn't expect them to buy one, and then they get it. There was actually, yeah, Mario was the ref in tennis. There was only 6 launch titles for the Game Boy. Alleyway, baseball, Mario Land, Yakuman, tennis, and Tetris.
I don't even know what the fuck Yakuman is.
I don't either. I just remember tennis because I think it was on the back of the box, like the actual console box,
Okay.
like it had a picture of it. And that's the only reason I really remember it. And I remember Alleyway just because I remember playing it.
And that was like Arkanoid, pretty much. Am I wrong?
Pretty much, exactly.
Yeah, but it's like you playing that freaking Tetris. You go past level 9, right? Or didn't it only say it was you can go to level 9, but you can go past, and it wouldn't. You wouldn't
Yeah,
have
I
a
think
number.
it topped out at level 9, but you could play the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Well,
was
the
just-
numbers said it kept getting worse because over level 9. But I think level 9 was what it said it was, but it was actually going further.
Yeah, it would keep going faster
Yeah,
and faster to the point of like Duck Hunt. It just keeps going.
Yeah, and it would get to the point. There's lots and lots of studies on this, and I don't remember all this shit, but they think they would get to the point where there's an impossible combination where it would force you to lose. From statistically, you're supposed to be able to get to there. Now, I don't know from what I'm pulling on, if that was the Game Boy one, because you got to remember there's actually multiple versions of Tetris, and so
yeah, there's like a kabillion of them on
yeah.
computer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the NES had 2 different versions itself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But most people didn't.
One.
Yeah, the Tengen one was not very much known. I played it. I rented it at freaking Green Video, and holy shit, it was amazing compared to the NES one.
I used to have it and got rid of it back in the day like a dumbass.
Yeah.
And now it's, you know, what, a couple $100 on eBay and shit all the time.
Probably so. I've got one floating around somewhere.
Just ever driver Jason's be all right. It's about to play.
Yes.
It's about to play. I don't need to spend $500 for that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, you know, you got to think. What did we have at the time at '89 before the Game Boy dropped? The only thing I can think of.
That was pre Mario 3, wasn't it?
I think that's 90. Yeah.
Yes. Mario 3 was 90.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as portable stuff, I want to say the only thing we had was like the Tiger Electronic.
I don't even know if that was then. Or they were rinky dinky.
In the early 90s, though.
They had some Radio Shack ones out that were in the late 80s, but I don't know about the Tiger ones. I'm trying to think what else was out.
Nintendo itself had a watch.
Yeah, they had the Game & Watch series.
Well, not even just the Game & Watch. There was an actual watch that you could play.
Yeah.
But I believe Tetris might have actually been one of the games. But Zelda was too.
It was. I had the Tetris
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
They were not waterproof. I found that out in middle school when I went to go wash my hands. I was so pissed.
Oh boy, that sucks.
It's funny as I dried it out and it never worked right. Like it would work, but it was never the same after that. And I remember washing my hands in the sink, being like, "Motherfucker."
Yeah, I never had one, but I knew kids that had one. That was some prestigious shit. He's got Legend of Zelda on his fucking hand.
What's funny is most kids that had them, like they would rip the watch bands off. You remember that?
Yeah, just have that
and they would
little
tote them
thing
in their pocket and be like, "Seriously."
Yeah, that was the, you know, looking at the Sears Christmas catalog and, you know, circling that.
Because there was like a Mario, a Zelda, I think there was a Donkey Kong, and I remember I had the Tetris one because I think it came out a little bit later.
Yeah.
Because it was like red and blue and black. But I just remember like having it for like a month and going to wash my hands in middle school and that being pretty much the end of that shit. So pissed.
Yeah, and I've never seen a Mr. Game & Watch from that time in person. I'm sure you've got them now, Chad, but I've never seen one back then.
I've sold all the ones I did have, but I've had some, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, were they widely available over here?
I think
or was it just primarily Japan?
They were over here. It's just that it was at a time when nobody was buying that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like pre-Nintendo NES kind of.
Would you like 84, 85 kind of thing? Or I don't know.
I think so.
Okay.
Because it was like because you know once the NES came, Nintendo that was like that was like their flag in the ground.
Yeah.
But by Game & Watch, like the early ones were like right before that, if memory serves. No, not Gallery 4. Speaking of which, have you seen the Zelda one they came out with?
I've heard that there's a Game & Watch or just like Zelda. It's just the NES game on thing, right?
It's 1 and 2 and Link's Awakening, but it's the Game Boy version of Link's Awakening and not the DX version. But either way, it's kind of cool that they came out with one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very tempted to get it, but I didn't.
If I ever had the DX version, I probably would have got it because I still play that Zelda about once every 2 years. But I just play it on my 3DS now. Yeah, it came out in like 1980. So that would have, the multi-screen one came out like 82, widescreen 81. So yeah, it would have been like right before the NES. So it was kind of, it was at that.
Well, that's even before the Famicom.
Yeah, and that's just it because it was like that was when people that was about the time Atari was hitting shit, and you know, and it's like we ain't buying this stuff.
Yeah. Because the Famicom came out in '83, but it took a long time for the Nintendo Entertainment System to come out over here.
Yeah, that was like, what, 86?
85, 86, somewhere in there. And I think it had some limited runs before that. But I want to go back to Mario Land. So, $20 game, and this would be a good point to show you know, that that was early Game Boy games where they tried to make them basically be looking like NES games. But that was a bad fucking idea. That Mario is just the game controls good. It's freaking pretty good, and it's still a fun game. That Mario little sprite is so damn small.
Oh, it's
on
teeny
that screen.
fucking tiny.
Yeah.
And I liked how they switch it up. You have all the Egyptian stuff in the background, and it's a platformer for a couple stages, and then you go to a shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
And I mean that was just so cool.
It felt really. It felt like Mario, but it felt like a different Mario in a good way.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, oh, this is different, but it's still fun.
Yeah. And the fireball, remember, it wasn't a fireball. It was I forgot what they called it, but it actually had this weird bouncing thing where it bounced all the fuck around.
Yeah. It go out at what, like a...
It would go out at the same like a fireball,
and
but
then just go,
Didn't it just keep going like ricochet shot on like Gauntlet or something like that?
Yeah, it can. I want to say that could actually break some blocks. I mean, it's been forever since I played that, but that seems about right. There are certain blocks that you could only bust with that, and that would open up some like secret paths and stuff too.
Yeah.
But and then the follow up to that, Super Mario Land 2
is
that goes
freaking awesome.
That's one of the best games on Game Boy.
Yeah.
And it introduces us to the now iconic Wario character.
Yeah, and he had a great commercial. I cannot remember, but he would be like, "I'm Wario," and I don't remember. He was on the commercial. He was the chief focus of the game. I mean, the commercial, and so you're like, man, this is evil Mario, man. It's gonna be great. And there was the 6 golden coins, so it had 6 worlds. Then they made Mario big, and he could still move pretty good, but he was big, and I think you had a super hold down big jump or something. I can't remember. I think it hold up to jump high, and I think you could adjust the screen up and down. I think this is still before Mario World, or maybe I'm wrong, but you can adjust the screen up and down so that you could see better, all the way around. Made for Game Boy, made by people who have been playing on Game Boy. It's just awesome for what it was, and then it's fun as hell. Not too long either. Not
at all.
Yeah, some stuff like because I think you had a battery save on that. Did you not? I can't remember. But
that's a good question.
Yeah,
it's been so long, I can't remember.
I think so, because had there not been, I would have been pissed off about it. It was something I remember. You remember games that don't have battery saves and need them, like freaking Blaster Master, Bionic Commando. You remember that shit. But it was something that doesn't take too long, fun to play, and it really was a portable, good game. It took them a while to get there. I don't know I never played it, but I remember the pictures of the first Batman, where the goddamn 1 pixel Batman. He has a little gun in his hand.
Yeah, I played that.
You play it? Was it shit or was it good?
I mean,
it was an attempt.
Yeah, it's an attempt. It's not that bad, but I mean,
it's kind of like, think about like Ninja Turtles for the arcade versus Ninja Turtles 2 on NES.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same, but you can see how they got there.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of games that try to be fairly close, and a lot of the games I got on my list that we'll go through that they try to be close to NES. Sometimes they succeed, and sometimes they don't. I don't think they succeeded at all. But one that definitely succeeded, and I think one of the damn gems, the highlights, is Ninja Turtles 1. I'm assuming you had that, Jason.
Yeah, Follow the Foot Clan was great.
That was a great game.
Basically in between, Ninja Turtles 1 and, Ninja Turtles 2 arcade game. It was right in between. So you had aspects of, the first one to where you can control, all 4 of the turtles, get knocked out. You go to another one, you can rescue them and all that. But then had the, a little bit more of the action that came in 2.
Yeah. Side scroller, but
as we're kind of prepped for this a little bit, as you told me at like 10:30 this morning. That was actually the first Game Boy game to win a Nintendo Power Game of the Year award.
Oh, really? I remember like just about everybody had that game too. Like there were certain games that I remember like everybody I knew that had a Game Boy had that Ninja Turtle game.
Well, because I think that came out. That was like the first, actual wave of games that came out after launch.
Yeah.
You have your little bullshit handful of garbage for the most part, and then I think that came in wave 2, where we're getting the actual decent stuff. You could still tell that some of the hardware they're still figuring out, but
Yeah.
you saw the strides.
Yeah, I didn't think
it says it came out in August of 1990, so that would have been like, because I think 89 when it came out was like right before Christmas, give or take.
Yeah, it was.
So that would have been like literally within the first year. But like I said, I remember like everybody I knew just seemed to have that game. That was like a staple.
And just go through and beat it, all the time. I beat that game all the time. I don't know, maybe it takes 30 minutes. Who knows? I don't remember.
It wasn't long.
And
but
did it have bottomless
the
pits?
right length.
Did it have bottomless pits? I don't remember.
I don't know if it did or not. It's been
I
so
don't-
long.
I think there's only, one or two instances where you could do something like that. When you're hopping on top of the vans and stuff in the one
I
stage.
think so. And it maybe there might have been the sewer level with bottomless pits, but I don't remember that being too tough. I do think there now probably were, but your jump was high and your turtle was slow, but you could make the jump pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I do also really like 2. I don't remember as much about it.
Yeah, I was trying to remember some about that too, and I
Yeah.
couldn't.
They made them.
Really place it.
I think though it made it, the graphics would technically be better. I think the actual original one with they had the smile on their face and they're fucking like spinning their weapons and shit as they walk. I think that's a lot more appealing than what they did because on the second one they tried to go closer to the NES ones, the NES arcade ones. But I do remember it being good. I don't remember much about it. But that first one, bro, that game I played this shit out of all the time, and that's TMT was freaking quality, man. You knew you was going to get something good.
Yeah.
And
I want to say they even used, they tried to mimic the shots from the show as much as they could as well in that.
When the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know I had that, and I think I got Mega Man 1 about the same time also.
Yeah, that's on my list. We'll talk about that. They mixed it up by mixing up the NES games. So it would mix up the the robot buddies, and so your power ups you wouldn't know immediately which power up you needed to do. But at least on the first one, which is the one I played, I hated his jump. He was moving too slow for making the jumps they gave, so you needed to be pixel perfect on that shit. Did you ever play Mega Man on NES? Game Boy, Chad?
I remember it vaguely.
Yeah.
Because I remember the first one the most from Nintendo, but I vaguely remember playing. There was a lot of those Game Boy games we traded around so much. Because a lot of people bring their Game Boy to school with them.
Yeah.
So when it came to like trading out Nintendo games, it would be like, oh, I got that. Do you mind bringing it? And then like somebody would be like, you know what I mean? You'd have to make a mental note to bring it, trade it out, whatever. Game Boy games were like you and your buddies everybody might have every game they had right there at school. Yeah. So you might borrow it for like a week and then be like, oh yeah, I played this for a week and then forget all about it.
Yeah. There's a couple games we weren't supposed to have them. If the teacher actually saw it, or it was too blatant, where she would know that she needed to take it, she would take it. Yeah. But we definitely would play during class too. Freaking honestly.
Yeah, that pissed me off. So
you got confiscated, son?
at fucking lunch.
Oh, at lunch? No, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's at lunch. Leave me alone.
Mortal Kombat 2 at lunch, and I can't remember which teacher. It was who was the person that did what was that like AP type class in middle school?
Don't be doxing freaking teachers, man.
Was that Quest?
Is it Quest?
Yeah, that Quest stuff.
Yeah.
Whoever
the Quest teacher got your ass?
Yeah.
What a bitch.
Check my
The
fucking game.
quest
Oh, you're
teacher,
gonna
I don't
have
remember
after
who it
school.
was. I just remember her being very stuck upish. Like I remember, like she was always like, "I'm not in your class," and she would always be like very like she was like she felt like she was like everybody was her jurisdiction. You know, like you know how some of those teachers would be like, "Well, it's not my kid. I don't give a shit." Hers, it seemed like I don't even know who the fuck you are. Why are you getting on to me? You know, type deal.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm said. You know, like we're at lunch, but you know I don't care. I'm taking it. You can have it after school.
So you did get it back though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I had to go after band practice because I had band practice that day. But I was like, "Are you fucking shitting me?"
Yeah, yeah. That would be like because most people brought them out like when you get to school before class would start and they'd make you go sit in the cafeteria. That's where like most of the time we'd end up trading games out so much.
All right,
Or at the end of the day, if we're car riders, because a lot of us would be car riders, and we just start playing through them.
Yeah. I got a shit one here for you. I got Castlevania Adventure on my list right here.
There was an attempt. Hey, the music was good, okay? The music was good.
Yeah, the music's fucking great.
Yeah. Did you play the remake?
I did not play the one that's on Wii. I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, I never got around to playing it because by the time I even realized it was the thing, it was already gone.
Yeah.
It's like I wish I'd have known earlier on when I had a Wii that it was an actual thing.
See, I can't remember if I played it back in the day or not. I might have, you know, like we just said, you know, borrowed from somebody.
There was a lot of games back then. It's like because it'd be like, oh man, let me play this for a day, and you would hand it back at like the end of the day, and you would be like, It was almost like a test to be like, do I want to play? Do I want to buy this? You know what I'm saying?
So I mean, I want to say I did at least attempt it back when we were little, but like I messing around with the Castlevania, you know, Konami collection.
Oh, you tried it, huh?
And I'm like,
sluggish as shit.
Well, it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out. I mean, it's slow
I think it is.
That's the biggest thing. Is it's slow as fuck.
You're really pushing it hard on that fucking Game Boy because you think if you just
it feels like you're being like dumped in quicksand and you're like, you know, moving around.
Well, yeah, but the crazy thing is like how much of an improvement that they did. I mean, I don't know how long the turnaround was between the first and the second one, but I mean the second one was a whole lot better.
Did you play I didn't play much of the second one. You like it, huh? I don't know if I played the second. I played Legends. I played on emulator.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't bad. I mean, again, you take it for what it is. Because I mean, how many bits were?
It ain't about the bits. It's like they should have realized that as they're making this is not fun. This is bad. We're trying to make it like the NES. We done fucked up somehow.
I was about to say, you seem to forget what company made that game.
First of all, we're going to go back and say, take a look at what they are putting out at the time versus what, eventually they turn into super shit. And I understand that they are also the motherfuckers that make Bayou Billy. But Castlevania was, at the time, that was their big deal.
Yeah. Not that one.
Yeah, not
Maybe
that one.
That was the B team that was like, just we needed a game on this.
Yeah. That's the first shitty Castlevania, as far as I'm concerned, aware. Because I think the arcade one was,
it was decent.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried that on the collection. I want to.
Is it called Haunted Castle there or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
It's rough as fuck, from what I remember.
I mean, I've just seen Mike Matei play it on, one of his little Cinemassacre Let's Play things, and yeah, it definitely looked rough.
Yeah.
but I'm a masochist on some of that shit.
Did you ever play Kirby Dreamland?
Oh yeah, it was
the first
great.
Kirby.
Kirby's Dreamland is probably, I don't know. I'd say Mario Land 2 would be the best Game Boy game.
Yeah.
That would probably have to be number 2.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a debate whether
it really did a great job of getting everything out of that Game Boy you could possibly get out of it too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, great music for, that itty bitty little brick. the Game Boy had what, 3 colors? Ugly ass green, a little black, and some
Ghosty
gray.
green.
Yep.
And they still managed to make the sprites and stuff, kind of pop a little bit. Definitely better than some of the other games.
Yeah.
But it's like if you compare that to Super Mario Land, the first one, you're just like, holy shit, you can do this.
Yeah,
like it's just so it was impressive because that was one of those like, oh, we're on like the Nintendo level, like we can do this.
Yeah. And I mean that was the first Kirby game, and even taking what they learned from that into Kirby's Adventure.
Yeah, Kirby, what stood out to me, I never owned it, but I played through my cousins and actually was able to play through and beat it fairly easily. Very, very playable and not too tough. And I think that kind of really, sets the ball for like, you know what? There's room for platformers that they don't have to fucking bust you in the ass. Fucking Mario 3 is hard.
Yeah, but they don't all have to be fucking damn Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
You can play one and it still be fun.
Yeah, and so I think Kirby really filled that niche. And coming out on Game Boy was just a smart move for them to do it like that. What I remember of that, I really liked it. And it sold a bunch of copies too. I think a lot of people took to that. And that's you're not having your we'll get to Zelda in a second, but you're not, it's a brand new IP that they made, and it's still awesome. Back then,
well, like when you see it, you're like, what is this? Like boy in my blob or whatever.
It's
like,
a big marshmallow.
Yeah, you don't really know what it is. Like, is this a knockoff Pac-Man or whatever? And then you play it, and you're like, oh, holy shit, this is actually fun. It's like really fun.
That's my damn Kirby sucked up noise.
But yeah, it's weird too. Like, so yeah, that one was very approachable and everything. Like, it seems like the Game Boy was worse about this than the NES was, to where like you either had too easy or too hard. There was very few like in the middle that was that right balance.
Yeah,
because like Mega Man on Game Boy was it was hard.
It was fucking
I
hard.
remember working. It took me a while to beat that.
Yeah, it was fuck you hard. I think it had a pass. I'm pretty sure it had a password.
Yeah, it did too. And then like Kid Icarus, that's kind of like the borderline.
Yeah, I played. That was another game that I've never actually played more than just played on an emulator. But Icarus, it's one of the few games I haven't played on Nintendo like that. But I played a decent amount of my cousin's Icarus, and one fucking hit, man. I think one of those games where you get a bunch of treasures and stuff, it gets easier for you. It's one of those things that's front loaded.
You work your way up.
Yeah.
And really, that's I never knew Kid Icarus was on any NES at the time. I just thought it was the Game Boy game.
Yeah.
And yeah, same thing. I've worked up to that. Took me a while to beat.
I never seen Icarus in our area, so Chad's probably caught 5 copies. But at the time, I never saw it.
On NES or Game Boy?
On NES.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's not a rare game, but you don't see it very often.
Yeah. It's one of those things. If you didn't catch it during the print, and I think it was a fairly early print, then it's like trying to find Legend of Zelda after Zelda 2 was out. That was just a fucking years of struggle for me to do that. But I'm gonna hit we're probably about in the middle, so let's hit the big one, which would be Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, which is fucking phenomenal, just amazing all the way around. I mean, at the time, that was after Zelda 3, right? I think it was after.
Was it?
I think so.
I can never remember if that was after or before, because it was about the same time.
I think it was after, because the even though I like Zelda 2, a lot of people don't. The going back to the overworld time, which 3 did, was what I really fucking remember. So I'm pretty sure that we're probably a couple years, or at least 1 year after 3, which it was 92. The Link's Awakening came out, and while I understand and appreciate it, it's the same caliber as 3. It was fucking great. It was freaking great, and you mixed up all the items, and so
Oh yeah.
yeah. It was
It had
definitely
the
after
fucking
3.
Jump in it. It was awesome.
Yep, you would do the run and jump,
Yep. Or the bomb arrow.
the bomb
I mean,
arrow.
you could mix them, and it was freaking awesome as
Yep.
hell.
Annoying these days to go back and have to press pause and freaking select it all the time. Of course, you could play the Switch version, which has all that shit. It's like 40 buttons or whatever. But it was tough. And honestly, I felt, well, maybe because I had too much walkthroughs for 3 or Nintendo Powers, but for it was very puzzly, very kind of puzzly to find some of the goodies. Just to start, remember, Chad, when you go out and you don't have a sword.
Yeah. And the thing is too is like if you were a kid playing this, that owl would talk to you. But let's face it, it talked a lot, and you would kind of like
press the button through it.
You'd just be like, get the fucking. I want to get the game started. Just to clarify, it came out in '93, which is after Link to the Past. But oh yeah, because like you start off, it's like all you got's a shield, and you're like, go down to the beach, and you're like, okay, where the fuck's the beach? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could have been 4 miles away. You didn't know.
Yeah, and then you had to hold down the shield button to push the urchins around. And I remember this only because I recently was playing the emulated of the
Switch version.
The Switch version, and I had forgotten about all that stuff because I ain't played it in a bazillion years. So I'm sitting there.
That game literally is like the first dungeon and key. All that stuff is all very like it's tricky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not. You have to go all the way down, then you got to go all the way up to get the key, and all the way back. Once you get to like the second and third dungeon, it starts to become, and you explore more. You get a little. It's a little bit. It's kind of like playing Symphony of the Night the first time. When you first get in there, you're just like, holy shit! It's like I got nothing, and where the hell's everything at? Yeah. So.
And I think that's the first, because they leave you fairly open on 3 once you've done the I'm talking about the Link to the Past. Once you've done like you get outside, Zelda's captured or whatever, and now you're outside, you get that's a huge part of the map is open up to just walk the fuck about. They didn't really kind of ring you in the way they did on Link's Awakening. And then, of course, now in Ocarina of Time, they did the same thing. Honestly, people don't remember that, but they would ring you, lock you out of a lot of areas until you figured out whatever you needed to do.
Yeah.
So, these days, people hate that. They want to just be opened up again, and I understand that, honestly. But from a puzzle perspective, by locking you in like that and kind of tightening you around, they could continuously fuck with you a little bit to get you to figure out all kinds of little shit. Just moving around or getting to the next screen.
Well, it's like there was a lot of that shit you wouldn't figure out till much later in the game. You would be like, oh, I can do this here, and it'd be like, you'd be like in the 6th or 7th castle. Yeah. And before you would even come close to figuring out some of that shit.
Yeah. I also really liked, there would be sections in the castle that would be 2D where you would jump up and down, kind of like Zelda 2. Yeah.
Yep. The mushrooms always had freaking hearts, and that was always cool if you jumped on them.
Yeah. Awesome game all the way around. I guess you never played it, Jason?
Yeah, I did. I mean, you guys brought up pretty much all the points.
How many Zeldas have you played a decent amount of?
Let's see. Well, obviously the first one. One of these days, I'll go back and give Link's Awakening another chance. I didn't like it. I actually didn't play as much Link to the Past, but again, growing up, I didn't have a Super Nintendo. Yeah. So I didn't really play Link to the Past, because didn't they do a Game Boy Advance re-release of that or something?
Yeah, it was in with the 4 swords basically.
Okay. Yeah. So I played it a little bit more on that. I played Awakening. I really liked Oracle of Seasons. I got that for my birthday or Valentine's Day or something like that from Mom.
Those were made by Capcom.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I played the shit out of that one. I mean, I did a lot of Link's Awakening also on the Game Boy, but just something about Oracle of Seasons just really grabbed me.
Yeah.
And I never did play Ages.
I remember playing both, and I never finished both of them because I tried to play both of them at the same time like an idiot. Because they came out at the same time because they were doing the whole, like Pokemon. Which one are you getting, the blue one or the red one? And I was like, I'm gonna...
You could transfer over stuff and that kind of thing. Yeah, same thing. I just never did it.
You kind of did the same thing for Final Fantasy 7 and 8, Chad, if I remember right.
Yeah, I did the same exact thing for that too.
that'll fuck your mind up right there. Try to keep that shit separate.
Yeah, it's like I got 7, and before I finished it, 8 had come out, and I was like, and I got it at a good deal. That's back when you could go to Blockbuster like a week after they came out and get them used for like $20. Oh, because I remember doing that on a bunch of shit. I got like Final Fantasy 8 and I think Resident Evil 3 at the same time for like $20 at Blockbuster.
What a fucking setup.
They would cram all the discs to like Final Fantasy 8 like in one CD case and put tape around it. It's like, what was it, 3 or 4 discs or some shit?
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Final Fantasy 8 cost me Hope Scholarship, Jason. I was hooked. And I think that was the same time that Dreamcast came out. It was bad. It's so caliber Final Fantasy 8.
That was like 98, 99. It was a good day. It was a good time for gaming.
Freaking Street Fighters, all the Street Fighters for Dreamcast. Yeah, 98 was kick ass, which we'll come to. I have that specific year written down, and we'll get to it. I don't know if any of you guys have played much Metroid. My introduction to Metroid was 2. Samus is almost too big. She's a huge part of the screen. And then Metroid 2, Metroid 1 is very much like a super duper where the fuck do I go game. They just throw you out there. Here you go. And
it's like being in space.
Yeah.
You're just like, you don't know where the fuck you're going.
Yeah, you're just wandering the fuck about.
That actually still turns me off to this day.
Metroid 1?
Yeah. Again, just, I don't know. I haven't legit beat it straight through. And really, I don't know if I ever will. I did the Justine Bateman code because I was at a friend's house and he told me about it, and I beat it that way, but never starting at the ship and all that.
I never made
like
it
my
past,
first.
What's her name? Mother Brain.
She's so fucking hard. She's hard.
I would get to her, and then I would eventually run out of rockets, and then that's when I would die.
Even with 255 rockets, it's hard because you couldn't fuck up.
No, and I would do it with the freeze ray, so I could freeze the little circle things, and I would always end up clipping one of those with a rocket and be like, "Fuck, now that's a wasted rocket."
Yeah.
I want to say you could do it where. I think you had to have full health, full heart or energy tanks and stuff, but you could jump down into the lava or whatever that's right in front of her. You should have enough health
to bounce off of her and hit her. Yeah, I've done shit like that. I generally find just to sit on the platform. I've only ever done it a couple of times. I did it enough that I got the under 2 hours ending or whatever, and I never went back to play the original Metroid. It's annoying, and I think honestly 2 is even more annoying. Now 2, they kind of break it off. You have like a main path or whatever, and you branch off to these little side areas, and they'll change the music. They'll have a kind of cool music, and until you get to these other areas, and it gets these just weird. And someone who's actually played the game was like, "What the fuck?" He knows exactly what the sound sounds like. It just feels like a bunch of bugs or something. Just a bunch of
randoms.
Yeah. And
that's one thing the first one had. The first one had outstanding music.
Yeah, good music. And they do a great job at Smash Brothers bringing that music back. By the way, but Metroid 2, you're getting that spider ball. You're climbing on walls with a goop ball, and you're checking all the little secrets. It's an obnoxious. I think it's more obnoxious than 1 is, and 1's pretty damn obnoxious. But I did beat it. You don't fight. I don't even know if you fight hardly any actual Metroids. You fight the mutated ones. And they usually have some kind of carapace on top, and so you have to shoot them at the bottom. And your missile sucks. It's so fucking slow. So the best way to do it is just get really close and try to shit missiles in them real fast. Because your missile's so slow, you just hope that as soon as it pops out, you hit them. Obnoxious as fuck. Especially if they would bounce your ass around. They'll get below you, so you can't hit them with the missile, and they'll just knock you the fuck around, and you're just trying to get down there to get a shot off. I don't like Metroid 2. I did play through it and beat it. And when Metroid 3 came out, and Jesse got it, so I got Metroid 3 because the commercial said 24-bit. I was like, Metroid 3, that game sucks. And I played it. Holy fuck, it's a top 10 super masterpiece, epic game. But that's another day. I've also got listed, and this is probably another Steve game, Final Fantasy Legend, which isn't Final Fantasy, by the way. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to add something.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a little thing to Metroid. So, here we go. Back in our day, we could, we had all those giveaways on the back of cereal boxes and Kool-Aid points and all that. I saved up Kool-Aid points to get Metroid 2.
That's awesome.
And then, I'm like, oh, wow. And then, all the points that you just made, although I never beat it. So
it's obnoxious. Go back today and it would still find it obnoxious. Metroid 3 is such a higher caliber, I think, than the first two. I think 1's okay. It's got a lot of problems. But Metroid 3...
For what it was at the time, it was not bad.
Yeah.
But yes, it's hard to go back and replay that one because I've tried.
Yeah, especially when you're comparing it to something like, Legend of Zelda, which was, pretty much around the same time. But Metroid 3 is just like this super masterpiece. Should be held into the stars, and it cannot be underrated when this guy's taking it. This is the best game. This is my favorite game ever. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Go for it. But Final Fantasy Legend is another super game, and I remember the fucking price of this super game. $40 for a Game Boy game, which was outrageous at the time. But
that was insane. At most they were like $29.99.
Yeah.
That was usually like a higher end game.
Yeah. Final Fantasy was fucking $40 right from the get-go. But I was enamored with Final Fantasy 1. It was so fucking good. And so as soon as I had a chance to get this, I saved up and got it. And this is not Final Fantasy. It's still an RPG, but it's not Final Fantasy. And I don't know the guy's name who made it, but this Saga Frontier, he was the one who made, the guy who did Final Fantasy 2 Japanese. And he's a fan of like unorthodox leveling systems. And this game is so fucking bizarre. For humans, you buy their hit points and upgrades, and it takes a long time. But you could also run mutants with another character, and they would have you would have 4 spots to put your items in. If they had 4 more spots, they would have spells, and you did not fucking have control over what spells they learned. They just would learn them, and then they would just forget them. It's like, oh god, he's learned P laser. He can blow the whole game up. Oh, what? It's gone. It's like, it would drive you bonkers. And so they had something called ESP, which I'm assuming, extrasensory perception. And you cast that shit, and like it didn't do anything. It's like, oh well, besides I've got like my slots wasted by ESP. I suck. But you would buy weapons and they would have 50 uses on them. They would break. Even the best sword in the game, which actually was called the glass sword, it would break on you. You only limit them out. I was like, whoa, I'm not going to use this motherfucker to the final boss. But fun. It's bizarre fun. And they recently came out on Game Boy. I mean, not a Game Boy, but Steam. This is all the sagas. So all the Final Fantasy Legends are on there. And I've done 1. And I've done 3. 3's freaking pretty cool. 3's awesome. But I've never played much of 2. But those were the big RPGs, as far as I know, that were on there. Because I don't think there was any real Dragon Warriors on there. There were ports of some Dragon Warriors. But maybe there was an Ultima on Game Boy. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know about that.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I mean, the big RPG that I had, because again, at the time, I didn't really know about the genre and everything. So I was totally in the dark, but Pokemon.
Yeah. Which came out in 1998. So this is over 10
It was
years.
so late
Yeah.
in the system too. It was so weird that it came out that late.
So we were in high school.
Yep. I remember you got it like the day it came out or something, and I'm like, what the hell is this? I didn't even know what the hell it was.
Yeah. It was all over Nintendo Power. Now, it had been out in Japan for 2 years, and it was hot as fuck over there. So when they came over here, they knew, Jad. They knew they was going to fuck us over.
They're like, this is crack. This is crack. We're about to introduce freaking crack or what was those freaking things they introduced to the Indians, the opium dens or whatever? It was going to be like that.
They're going to have teenagers fucking should be out doing other shit. They're going to have them going to Toys R Us and getting stuffed Pokemon animals. I needed them, man. I needed Bulbasaur real bad.
I still got my Bulbasaur. He was in the manger scene this year, I think. Floating around, man. But yeah, I mean, it was so weird because like it came out almost when the freaking Game Boy Color came out, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
Yep. And actually, I bought the Game Boy Color
a little bit before. Not much, because again, like holy crap, you can put your old cartridges in there, and it gives you, even the ones that the OG Game Boy games, it would make it not ugly ass green.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
well, that's kind of like, and it was one of I was going to ask about. It's like, did either one of you guys have the Pocket?
No.
I
didn't have the Pocket.
I had the Pocket at one point, and it was better on the screen than the original OG Game Boy. Because I remember I had the Pocket when I first started playing Pokemon. Because I got it on clearance. It was like dirt cheap, and that's when I got Pokemon Red or Blue or whatever. But I remember like trying to go back and put it in my green one, and it was like, oh my god, the screen blurring was like unbelievably bad. Like you didn't realize it as a kid, but like when you go back to play it, the screen tearing is just absolutely
the ghosting
atrocious.
is real shit, and that's the same way for PSP, by the way. If you went back to play a PSP, it has bad ghosting on it. Now the Game Boy Pocket, did that get rid of the green all the way around? It was just
Okay. It was like basically monochrome, like gray and black, basically.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was like it was very clear, and it ran on like, was it 2 AAAs? I think it was 2 AAAs.
So less batteries.
So the 4
instead of the 4 AA's, it ran on like either 2 AA's or 2 triples. I can't remember. The Game Boy Color ran on what, 2 AA's? I think it was 3 volts.
I don't remember. I honestly don't.
And on a side note, the Game Boy got great freaking battery life out of those 4 AA batteries. Especially compared to other consoles.
I want to say it was like 8 hours.
Unless you got the cheap dollar store ones. If you got the cheap dollar store Panasonic batteries, it would last you about a ride home before it would start going out.
Sounds like personal experience, right?
It was, because I remember like going to the mall with my parents when it was like the closest mall would be like Union City or some shit.
Yeah.
And I remember like they'd have the dollar store, and I remember like I'd get some batteries for my Game Boy, and it'd be like 4 Panasonic batteries. And I remember like by the time you got home, they were pretty much about shot, because you remember the red dot would start getting dim, and you start raising the contrast just so you could get a little bit more life out of it. It was.
I think I vaguely remember that now.
It was like the red light would start getting a little bit dimmer when your batteries just start going.
Yeah. When
definitely play that game.
Yeah. Speaking of the Game Boy Color, when we're playing Pokemon, when I got the Game Boy Color when it came out, then I had 2. So I got red and blue Pokemon, and I could trade them together. I never did get all of the Pokemons, but I got a pretty good bit.
I eventually did. I think I can't remember. I might have actually gotten it from the Game Genie from somebody else, because again, we had a link cable, so we and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then couldn't you get a random
missing number
or something like that from trading sometimes, or am I just totally not remembering shit?
I remember some weird stuff about that, but it's been so long.
Yeah.
Because it could get glitchy or something. Because there was always like things online about like duping Pokemon, like how to trade it and when to unplug at the right time, and you both end up with it or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, whether any of it ever worked, but there was always those things, because this is like early stages of the internet as it was,
Yeah. So I remember
Yeah, 'cause I was
Missing
just saying,
Number and
some of the
like
evolutions, you
Mewtwo.
got to do that.
Yeah. Um, but I played the shit out of Pokemon. So that was your first big RPG, Jason?
I mean, pretty much, unless you want to count like, OG Legend of Zelda. I
No,
consider that
no.
more of an action game.
At the time, it was called an adventure game. Today, you would call it an action RPG. Which it's fucking everything's an action RPG, honestly. But yeah, the freaking Game Boy Color was awesome because you could control the tints. I remember. I don't remember how.
Wasn't it like you started it up holding the button?
I don't have no.
It's been so long, but I remember.
I thought that
like,
you could change it in the middle. It was a code, maybe a code that you held on the button. Like hold down select and press up and down, or who knows.
I can't remember. There was something about that, kind of like I think even on like the Game Boy. It was either the game. It might have been on the Super Game Boy. Definitely had that.
Yeah.
But I think even on the Game Boy Advance, if you're loading up like Game Boy Color games, it would there was something. One of those two would let you do that.
See, on the Super Game Boy, you had 4 colors, which was what the Game Boy had to run from. But on the Game Boy Color, they tricked it, and so you usually had your your actual sprites that are moving around, and then the background. And so they've managed to somehow make 6 colors out of that. So your foreground pictures could be a different color in your background, and then you would have to figure out on the Game Boy Color which ones would get you the most looking, like make Link look green and the background green and all that stuff. It was so much better than your regular Game Boy. Magnitude's more playable. Of course, you still did not have backlight. Yeah, you didn't have backlight.
Or a front light, or any fucking light.
Yeah. So you're playing that sumbitch in a lamp, usually on a sofa or like a love seat type thing, and you got some kind of weird ass how many weird ass positions you end up trying to play that sumbitch in to get the light good.
Neck.
Yeah,
because if you're too far under the light reflects in it, and all you see is a fucking light bulb.
Yeah. And so
I've got I would use one of those little lamp
the add-ons
peripheral. Yeah, you throw it in a link cable slot, and I would use that.
I had this stupid thing where it was you put it on top, and it was like the magnifying glass with the light that showed down. That thing was a piece of shit.
Oh God,
I didn't like that.
I always had to have some type of light. I was like you. I would have like one little light, but if you got one with a magnifying glass built in, oh my God, it was like looking through fucking beer goggles trying to play a fucking game, because you'd be like this. It's just insane trying to go back to that.
It was crap.
Do you remember what was the Super Game Boy thing, the add-on where it added like joystick
fucking turn into shit in Optimus Prime?
It fucking speakers and a magnifying glass and a fucking light. It looked like and it suddenly was like 3 times the size it was when you first started. Do you remember that freaking shit?
I remember. I never had it, but I'm like, that thing's gotta suck, man. Look at that.
I just remember my cousin having it. He being like, "Check this out." And I'd be like, "Jesus Christ, man! It's like you need to strap it around your neck to tote it around." I mean, if there was an accessory for the fucking Game Boy, they had a fucking Game Boy sewing machine. I mean, it's like they had the Game Boy camera, the Game Boy printer. I mean, it was insane. Like, everything they could think of, they made a fucking accessory for.
Yeah. They almost all sucked.
They like to milk that stuff.
Well, it's like, you think about it, it's like, how long before they came out with a fucking light? The Game Boy Advance first one didn't even have a light on it. They didn't come out with a fucking light on it until like the SP, which they refined later on with that backlight. But I remember, like, you remember when they kept like saying like, we're gonna make a Game Boy Color, and what they did was they came out with the same Game Boy, but it was a different color plastic.
I've literally got that written down.
I remember that coming out, and it had like a better speaker in it, but it was the same thing. It was just they had colors to them after that.
Because the Game Gear had it had the freaking backlight, it had the color. Now Game Gear is actually a piece of shit in my opinion.
Oh God. Well, you know what's funny is like we knew somebody that had one. I don't remember Shane. By the time me and you and Shane probably started hanging out, we were probably done with his Game Gear. But like I remember he had a Game Gear. and me and a bunch of other guys had Game Boys, and we would swap out games, and he'd be like, "Man, nobody's got no fucking Game Gear games to swap out with us," and it'd be like, because that thing fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like you had to use the AC adapter, because I remember like we traded for a weekend, and I was like, I want my fucking Game Boy back. Because I remember, like, if you didn't use that adapter, it took 6 batteries and it lasted for 2 hours. It was like, holy shit.
yeah. It's like $30 an hour to play the damn thing.
It
had
ridiculous.
It had insane speakers on it. It's like Sega just went balls to the wall.
Oh,
you could turn them speakers up. They're like fucking hearing 3 rooms over, loud as fuck.
That fucking Sega logo.
Yeah. I borrowed Rudy's and then just played. I think it was pretty much the NES version of Star Wars, except on Game Gear. This is not. Yeah. A lot of that was it didn't have a great lineup.
No, it really didn't.
Yeah. And how good is Sonic going to play on a fucking? Well, hell, Sonic has trouble playing on a big screen. Freaking on a little screen, you go dialed. We did.
Oh, I remember he had Sonic 2 for Game Gear, and I beat that game, and it was like, holy fuck. It was just like, because it was like you said, it was like you couldn't see ahead of yourself, so you couldn't run fast because you just run into shit.
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, I mean, it costs more. It was like double the price if memory serves.
Yeah.
So it was like, I got a Game Gear, but like, nobody was jealous of his Game Gear at all. Like, it was one of those, it was like, everybody that had a Game Boy had more fun. Somebody in middle school, and this might have been before you started coming to our school, they had a Game Gear that had the TV adapter on it, and they would bring it to school and try to watch TV in class, and it wouldn't pick up jack shit. I just remember him sitting back. There was some dude that had it. It was like one of those, some random had it, and he'd be like, "I'm going to watch TV in class." It never picked up shit.
Imagine now if you'd have put a freaking smartphone in front of these people, they would have it would have lost.
That would have burned you as a fucking heretic. They would have done. Like fucking lost their minds. They would immediately look up porn on it, so it wouldn't have mattered.
They'd be like, "What the fuck's Google? Where's Jeeves at?" Or what?
Yeah. It would have been like, what the fuck? They might know what Yahoo was.
Excite. I went to Excite and it don't exist no more.
They all happened to Lycos and web crawler.
Did you guys have Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy?
Oh yes, I did.
Oh, I had Mortal Kombat 2.
I think Mortal Kombat might be better, even though that's pretty rough.
Mortal Kombat 1 on Game Boy is pretty goddamn bad. And Street Fighter on Game Boy was almost like, if you look at the screenshot, you can be like, yeah, that is Street Fighter. But then when you play it, you're like, okay, it looks like Street Fighter.
Ooh, it runs like terrible.
It's like 3 frames a second.
Yeah.
The button press was how hard you pressed it to what the like you're playing Street Fighter on a 2-button console. What do you expect?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I remember playing it, but I never owned it.
Now here's some things. Being a super Street Fighter dork, I remember Ken in Street Fighter 2 on Game Boy actually had the Super Turbo cross-up jumping attack. He didn't even have that in Super. I was like, wow, it's like an upgrade. But God, dog, that game's bad. Great music, even on the little Game Boy. And Game Boy
had such a great sound processor on it.
It was stereo. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because I would hook mine up to my stereo all the time.
Yeah. And you could take if you take your little what the fuck is the shit you put in your little earbuds? If you took your buds and didn't stick your thing all the way in, you would only get one of the little speakers, so you could kind of change the music to make it, But I would sometimes just, I didn't have a Walkman or anything like that, but I would just freaking put on freaking Castlevania's Stage 1. Just don't move your guy, and you get about 9 minutes of I can't forget whatever the soundtrack was.
Bloody Tears.
I don't think it was Bloody. It was something. I don't forget the damn name of that stage, but it's freaking great. Or Final Fantasy had some really good music. Sometimes I try to play that shit in the car. I'm like, nope.
Oh yeah, you good luck with it in the car. It had to be 100% daylight, a sunny day, and even then, it wasn't great.
Yeah, well, I think it's there a couple times we listened to that shit during the dark. I'd pull out a light to see where I found to change the level so I could listen to the next level or whatever. I got 2 more games on my list, and then if there's anything more, we'll talk about it there. Super Mario Deluxe. Did you ever play that one? That was Mario Brothers.
I remember playing that.
It was Super Mario Brothers re-released. Yeah.
It was amazingly
close,
almost like the freaking the pinnacle of Mario 1 is what it basically was.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly of oh my god, this is actually good.
Now, did it have lost levels in it, or am I wrong?
I can't remember if it had lost levels. I know it had didn't it have little picture pieces you could find or something
that?
It
had
so
Yoshi
often.
coins in new spots, so there was new secrets. And in the aspect ratio wasn't quite what you needed for a TV, but honestly, it didn't bother me too much. But that was great, and
it looked so good and vibrant. It was made for. It's like what somebody took and was this is, we want to make it better on this console. It's like they actually did it.
Yeah. I think it was an early Game Boy Color release, right? Am I wrong?
I think it was early on.
Yeah, I think so.
Played the shit out of that. Of course, NES will always be the best, but I really, really liked Mario Deluxe. I just don't remember much about it. I think there's something secretive about that shit.
I just know it didn't. Well, on that display, it just didn't have the color bleed like TVs at the time did, and I think that's why it made it look so good.
Yeah.
Because unless you were playing it on an emulator at that point in time, you were going to have TV blur and bleeding on the screen, and that was oh wow, it's really clear.
Well, at the time, those emulators had pretty shitty color accuracy. I don't know if you remember that. They got better, or might have just been the difference between a CRT monitor and then which we were watching on our regular TVs.
It was probably the difference in a freaking CRT monitor and a TV, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it would almost look like it had a different tint to it. Like the skies in Mega Man 1 would always look a little bit off.
I felt his underwear, Mega Man's underwear, was always kind of bizarro.
Yeah.
In the games. And one more. This one might be something only I really played. This came out around the time of the Super Game Boy, and today we call it Donkey Kong 95. It was just called Donkey Kong back then. But it was basically a reimagining of Donkey Kong with 40,000 levels, and the first 4 levels were like the original. Although Mario had all kind of things like backflips and other kind of crazy shit, handstands. But once it got to the actual main part of the game, it's really a puzzle platformer, and you had to get your key into a door. It seems real basic, but the amount of crazy shit that you could do with that damn game. I remember being on a handstand and needing to walk, and then the keys coming down platforms, and I'm having to jump and catch the key with my feet, and that's just what I remember. It was insane, the amount of puzzles and effort that they put in the game. And today it's largely forgotten, but Donkey Kong 95 is fucking awesome. It's great. Did y'all ever play any of that? Or
I remember it, but I don't remember much of it.
Yeah, it has over 100 levels. Puzzly as fuck, hard as shit too. I only ever beat it once. At the end, you have to fight Donkey Kong gets literally King Kong size, and you have to fight his ass. Fucking awesome, an awesome puzzle game. I don't remember much about it besides the keys, and he had all kinds of crazy things. In original Donkey Kong, if you fall off the platform, you died, right? You had to jump. And here he would start the head dive, but if you moved forward, he would do a cartwheel, kind of like Link would in Ocarina of Time. All kinds of damn great shit that just takes the basic concept of Donkey Kong and turns that shit on his head. Great, it's a great game. Something that they kind of forgotten about. Today, I guess you have those. What was it, the Mario and Luigi games or whatever it is, which are kind of similar. I don't think it's the same lineage. But yeah, I really like that one.
Not Tetris aside, I don't know if you really call that a puzzle game. But I had Krusty's Funhouse, and that was hard.
Remember that.
Yeah.
because you're trying to get all those rats. Each stage has a different number of rats, and you have to put certain pipes and other things in certain areas, and little jumper things to get the rats over to the traps and stuff. And yeah, it got pretty damn hard because you had to time things so just right, kind of like when you're going through and doing your Solomon's Key stuff. You had to get those. You had to wait so long just to get something. It was very, very tough.
You're going deep cut over here on Solomon's Key, man. I try to forget stuff like that.
Some of those things you can't forget.
Well, yeah, because I remember every day on break for I don't know how long you were playing that damn thing on the 3DS or whatever. Hey, man, you conquered it, so.
Yeah, that's one of my particularly insane Let's Plays. That game was, a lot of people were considering it harder than Battletoads. That's why I was interested. That's a fucking great game. There's tons of those little hidden gems. I remember a puzzle game Jesse had. It was called Boxel, and it's literally just moving puzzle boxes around. And you wouldn't want to move them against other boxes because then you couldn't, because you had to push, you couldn't pull. There's a lot of puzzles like that in Zelda and stuff like that. But the whole game was just moving those boxes around, and freaking great. Tetris really opened up and brought puzzles forward because what the fuck do we know about before Tetris? They really didn't play nothing, not a damn any puzzle game. But you got any hidden gems, Chad?
I remember one somewhat puzzle game was Yoda Stories, if you remember that on Game Boy. I think it was either Game Boy or Game Boy Color it came out on. But it was like a Star Wars puzzle game of stupidity. It was not fun, but it was just interesting.
Yeah.
It was like the puzzles got repetitive, but you're on Dagobah. Now move this shit around so you can get around stuff. I did have Star Wars, which was basically the Game Boy. The Game Boy version was basically the Nintendo version, which was also, I think, the Game Gear version. That was, I don't know how I ever sat down and beat that thing, straining my damn eyes out to beat it.
Probably no password or anything either, right?
Nope. It was and it was a fucking maze. It was the same as Nintendo. But I had one game on Game Boy, and I went all the way through it that, to this day, I can hear the fucking gun noise in my head. It was Terminator 2, the arcade game on Game Boy. And the Game Boy was like, and it was a machine gun, so you had to use it nonstop. And it was like nothing but an hour and a half of that fucking noise just to go through that game. And I remember beating it as a kid and being like, I'm never playing this again, never again.
Was it first person? You just move the cursor around?
It was literally, Terminator 2 in the arcade game in the arcade?
Yeah.
It was that on Game Boy, literally. So if you played it on Super Nintendo, that's what it was. Of course, it didn't have I think they cut out some stages for Game Boy's sake, but literally it was just moving that cursor around and it just moving side scrolling when you get to a certain spot, and it was that fucking noise of just that machine gun. It's I'll hear that when I'm fucking dead. I will hear that noise.
There's a lot of shit, man. There's a lot of shit on Game Boy. It's we would make fun. It's I still make fun of shit these days. With Cyberpunk on Xbox One, that's the Game Boy version of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, just fucking damn. I just remember because I remember playing that game in the arcade and on Super Nintendo, and for some reason I ended up with it on I think I got it as a Christmas present or something. But it was it was kind of like Street Fighter Alpha 2 on Super Nintendo. It's you put it on there, but it wasn't meant to be on that freaking console. It was terrible.
Yeah, there's so many, and then there would be games that would be impossible, first person shooters. I think Daikatana's on Game Boy.
I think so.
That is a first person shooter. You just turn it to a side scroller.
Yeah, it's a totally different game, but it's there.
Yeah, same for Turok, Tomb Raider. So when they went to the 32, well, of course you're 98. Of course you're in the 32-bit area. So they just kept on making Game Boy games. It's fucking just.
Oh yeah, they would put shit on Game Boy that you'd be like. It was kind of like when they would come out on the back of comic books, and it'd be Mortal Kombat, and it's on every fucking console. They would do that. It'd be something that came out on PlayStation, and it'd be here's. I remember they did that shit with the fucking Dreamcast. They did a Grinch game, and it was on PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and Game Boy. And it was like, how in the fuck can you put that on Game Boy? I mean, it's on fucking PlayStation and Dreamcast. But I remember playing that and being like, this is fucking terrible.
Completely different game.
It's a totally different game.
I want to say, and from the console game pages, I heard of a Game Boy game. I think it was called Urban Yeti. It's almost like that movie Suburban Sasquatch. That got you chases that just turds, tons of turds. But you play your 10 to 20 games that are good. Forget that the 800 that were bad. Forget them.
Oh yeah, because I had plenty, and that's the thing is like some of those games you could get for like $9.99. You remember that? It'd be like a fucking terrible ass game. I got a football game one time that I did not realize was not a football game. I thought it was going to be like Tecmo Bowl. It was something Quarterback Club. Whoever made Quarterback Club.
Yeah.
And it was like, apparently they made multiple versions, but the first one was not an actual football game. It was a quarterback game that had like little mini games in it. Like you'd be like, you'd pick a quarterback and you'd see how accurate you could throw with it or how far you could throw with it.
Basically, it's a training, oh crap, like you're
at fucking like preseason or something.
Preseason training. You're going through and getting your like quarterback rating by throwing the ball through the tires and breaking off tackles and stuff like that.
It's like I bought that for like $9.99 one year, thinking like, oh, this is a football game like Madden or Tecmo Bowl. It's like no, it's not. It's not anything. It's how far can you throw this ball and be accurate within 10 seconds, and right up against these other idiots. It was not good at all. Tricked me, man. I thought I was getting like a Madden or a Troy Aikman or something.
Nope. So much crap.
I got I'll think of like 5 more, of course, as soon as we stop. But
yeah.
Off the top of my head, I want to say I had I think it was on just regular Game Boy, not the color, but Super Return of the Jedi.
That sounds rough.
It was rough. I remember playing that.
It was, but yeah, I played the shit out of it and beat it. But again, like it did a decent port job, which is blows your mind when you think about it, because coming from like Super Nintendo down to that.
Yeah, because there was no NES port.
No, and that's the thing is it like because I don't remember if there was Star Wars, which I had. I don't think they did an Empire on Game Boy. They might have. But I remember when they got to Jedi, they did Super Return of the Jedi, and it actually looked like Super Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It was just if you went for the Super Nintendo version, it was rough, but yeah, it actually looked exactly like what it was supposed to be.
Let me see that. I had Killer Instinct. I think it was missing a character or two.
Oh God, I forgot about Killer Instinct, don't it?
But Killer Instinct, it had god awful, terrible music, but it actually has decent frame rate, especially compared to Shit Fighter. How the fuck whether we're gonna do combos with 2 buttons? I mean, I guess press B and then press A.
Oh man, you just got spinal and you just hit forward and did B and A a lot, just over and over and over again.
Yeah. I might have actually had that.
It was tolerable for what a Game Boy game fighter compared to other fighters. It was still shit.
Do you remember when they had like the kiosk at Walmart for the Game Boy, and it would have like Killer Instinct in it, and you would have to go over there and look straight down like you're looking at your fucking dick and play it? It was like sticking out, and you'd just be standing there. And of course, like if you're like fucking 6 foot tall, like I was in high school, you'd just be staring straight down at it, trying to see it. And it would have some plug into it, so that way it would never die. It's like, what the hell?
So yeah, my next one is definitely going to be controversial, mostly because again we've watched Cinemassacre and Angry Video Game Nerd, and how he shits on everything pretty much.
You got Bugs Bunny, Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle over there, huh?
No, not that bad. That definitely crap.
Spider-Man.
Hey, Spider-Man games were good on there.
I remember playing that first one.
I think I had the second one, the Sinister Six. I like that one. But no, I'm going to say, Terminator 2. The Terminator 2 on Game Boy was fucking good in my opinion.
You liked it?
I never played.
I've only played the Super Nintendo one.
I had the arcade version, so I had the lovely adventure of that, not the actual game. Because I remember there was two different versions on Super Nintendo also. Because it was a side scroller, wasn't it?
LGN did that, right?
Yeah, LJN did it.
Who did the arcade one?
Yeah, they get crapped on. I mean, yeah, they do deserve some of it, but a lot of it they don't. Like, the Wolverine game was good. Terminator 2 Game Boy was good. I never played the NES one.
Well, you guys remember about that is, Jason, is that they a lot of that shit was actually rare. They just LGN published it, but they would subcontract that shit out. So stuff like Beetlejuice is actually done by Rare, and you can tell games like that immediately. But when you hear that Rare music for Nintendo, it's very distinct. It might have even been some of them. What was the fucking Silver Surfer guy? The Silver Surfer music guy might have done some stuff for them too. But like you start off, first level, you're John Connor. You have to go through, the dystopian stage to, you're basically getting back to where you're sending the T-800 back. So, at the end of it, you fight one of those big ass hunter killers. You go through that, then you send the Terminator back. I can't remember what. There's a stage in between it and then the motorcycle stage where you're on the motorcycle. You have to do so much damage to the semi that the T-1000 is, or it'll kill you. Yeah.
So that's varying the gameplay up right there, and then it goes to a puzzle game where you're doing the scene. Well, it was the deleted scene from the movie where you're doing the recircuiting. You actually have to do that.
Like
Question, Jason. How close of that is to the Nintendo and Super Nintendo one?
See, I'm not sure. I never played either of those.
Okay.
I've only seen, little clips here and there from, Angry Video Game Nerd and, other people crapping on that. It definitely...
The Super Nintendo one, it's very different from, because I played that one, and it's like it starts off at the bar scene.
Yeah. I remember you're at the bar and you're punching the guys.
And it's fucking terrible. See, I remember that there being two different T2s on Game Boy because I was always jealous that I got the arcade version and not the one you're talking about. Because the one that you had sounds a whole lot fucking better than that arcade version I had.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's only a handful of stages, but, you're playing, big parts that were in the movie. So, you get through that, you're going through Cyberdyne to get the arm and the chip, and then after that you have the boss battle with the T-1000. And when you're in Cyberdyne, you start off with the big ass machine gun. So but what you want to do is you want to save your ammo as much as you can, because that carries over to the T-1000 fight, so you can shoot them off the ledge and not have to actually get up and like punch the fuck out of them to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you knock him off the edge, and he does the whole disco dance in the lava just like he does in the movie, falls in, and then boom, in game. I mean, I would beat it multiple times because I'd just get in the mood to play it and just go through it.
Yeah. So
it's like I played through T2 arcade a couple of times because it had two endings. It had a secret ending. So when you were going through Cyberdyne, you had to shoot every fucking TV screen and every other fucking little bitty pixel of an computer looking thing. And if you missed like more than say two of them, it would be like you failed to destroy it all or something like that. And even though you beat the game, you still lost.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where it's like I think you were allowed like a handful, but it was like you would go back and you'd be like, oh, I didn't realize I could shoot this. It'd be like a little TV screen or a radio or some satellite thing or something in the background. It was fucking awesome.
sounds better.
That fucking sound, that and it was just, and then the gun would overheat, and oh my god, it was just, I'm having fucking PTSD about it. Just terrible.
Still better than Atari, man.
It sounded like Atari. I mean, at the same time, I had Link's Awakening. I had Link's Awakening and that game at the same time. So, yeah. And it was like anything else. You played what you had. So you might, you play it to beat it because you fucking had it. You might not have another game for a while.
Yeah. Or your cousin got it for you, or your grandma got it for you, and that's what you have.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like, I have a younger sister. So, she would get stuff like Barbie and Little Mermaid and stuff. So, like, I'm bored, or, it's, hey, can you help me with this? And then, you kind of get sucked into that kind of shit, too. So,
So, Barbie, let's play when, Jason?
I'd do it if I actually had it. Well, I think there were several ones, but there's one that, it wasn't bad. Yeah, it controls like ass. Like the jumps are, terrible and stuff. But
I think the NES one's like that too.
Yeah, I think so. But, yeah,
I also went
play
through.
What you got, like we said.
Yeah. I went through Contra 3, Alien War on Game Boy. It's tolerable. It tries to be as close as it can to that one without the driving shit. I don't believe. Played my cousin's Home Alone 2 on Game Boy. Oh my god, that game sucks.
I forgot about that game.
Sucks.
Well, no,
was it basically the Nintendo version?
Yes.
Oh,
as far as I remember.
I played Home Alone 1. I never played. No, I did play both of them. Yeah.
Both were pretty bad, but to me, one was better. But that's not saying a whole lot.
Yeah. Sad times, man.
Man, you see it. You'd be like, look at that, man. I recognize that movie. I recognize Back to the Future. That ought to be fun. That'd be great. Let's play that. I love Back to the Future.
I really don't have. I think I got that game. I have no aspirations of, trying to one up Gary on that one. I'll let him be the winner.
No. I'm good. Once I realized that after that freaking, damn
The
soda
milkshake.
shop stage.
Yeah.
As soon as I realized the next stage after that was more streets, I was done. It's like, I didn't give a fuck no more. I was completely done after that. It's like, I was just hoping that was like, like certain games. Super Return of the Jedi, the first level sucks. Yeah, because you're flying on that damn speeder across the desert. But as soon as you get past it, you're into a good game.
And that's sad, because it was so fucking hard. And you're like, I know there's a great game here.
Shit, day one. It was like, the first minute of the game, it's like, oh, fuck, this is hard.
Indiana Jones is harder than my
God,
opinion.
yes. To be running on the same engine as the Super Star Wars games, it's way harder. Yeah. There's so much shit that will hit you in the background that you didn't even realize was there.
Yeah. Still love those games. But I think we're pretty good set on Game Boy. This came out really well. We'll have to keep it out for. Eventually go back and do the rest of the portable systems and try to get it into one thing, I think. But I'm gonna stop it here.